us on Geek Blur, the show you can't ignore. Ray and Kevin diving deep into all things galore. Comic book, movie, sci-fi, and action thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blur, we love it so much. Geek Blur, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blur, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? Geek Blur, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us and every week we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Ray, I forgot to ask you before we went live.
What?
Do you happen to have the Fat Fuck sounder handy?
I do. We
Oh,
going
drop that
to...
beat.
Alright, drop it.
The fat fucks are back, are back, are back. Yeah, you know, Muscle River, but that's the fat fucks are back. Motherfucker, show me the fat fuck.
Do you realize the layers of that song when you actually listen to it?
Sounds like a lot. Your boy picked something up yesterday and tried it out for the first time, something you were telling me about for years. So I
Okay,
got
what's
it,
that?
threw it in the air fryer.
Ooh.
Aldi's
Ooh.
Red Bag Chicken.
Oh, shit, son.
Yeah, it's good.
Right,
It's
yeah?
real good. I was starving, so I put in two, but I could only eat one because they are way bigger than I thought. They're pretty filling.
Yeah.
And I had some
Yeah.
Arby's fries, or the combo. Arby's fries are the greatest thing ever that you can buy in the grocery store now. But yeah,
Yeah, they are.
very good. I went by
Arby's.
the instructions though, and it burnt a little bit. The chicken burnt
Yes.
a little bit on the outside. So I'll probably do it for a little bit less next time in the air fryer. Probably wouldn't do that in the oven, but as far as a chicken sandwich, I mean, $7 for whatever you get 6 of them in a bag. Pretty good deal compared to going to Chick-fil-A where it's like $7 for just one sandwich.
Right, yeah.
I'll do Red Bag all day, every day with Chick-fil-A sauce at home over Chick-fil-A. Now,
They're good.
I'll probably keep a bag of those in the freezer at work this summer because they're easy.
Also, Walmart, they don't have a red bag. However, they have changed the recipe of their fried chicken.
Yes, and I showed you I got a bag of that last time because I was too lazy to go to
Yes.
Aldi. Also, Aldi's kind of a bitch to get into. I
It
didn't
is.
like how their parking lot situation was set up. But,
The cart situation has been a pain in the ass. Unless you're
Yes.
past a cart on the way out, because nobody keeps change anymore. You have to pay a
Yep.
quarter for a cart. So,
Yeah.
I tried something too, and this is an impromptu fat fuck segment today, but I went to Taco Bell and I tried the Taco Bell chicken nuggets. Have you tried those yet?
No, but they look good. Did you get the Ghost Pepper Ranch?
They didn't have any of the sauces. I went to the one in Epping today, up Epping, New Hampshire.
Didn't have any of the sauces they advertised for.
Didn't have any of the sauces, which all sound good, but they didn't have any of them.
Yeah.
The chicken that itself is it's good chicken breast. The breading is supposed to be chopped tortillas. Is that what it is? I can't remember. It's
Interesting.
something like that, but it's fried.
I've only seen the
It's fried
ad
in
once or
that.
twice, so.
With a seasoning, which I believe is a taco seasoning or something. I can't remember. They're pretty damn good. They're juicy. And I believe they're selling out a lot of places. So I was lucky when I went in there first thing yesterday morning.
Nice.
But pretty good.
they
Also,
like-
I had Arby's today, which was
they-
awesome.
Oh, you had Arby's? Where'd you get Arby's?
I had to go up to Manchester today. There's one in the mall in New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Back to the nuggets. Have you ever had the chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A?
Yes, when I went there a few years
Were
ago for the first time.
Okay. Were the Taco Bell ones like that? Or were
No.
they more like a McDonald's?
They were more like if I were to compare the chicken style, it would be more like Buffalo Wild Wings as far as the
Okay.
breast is concerned.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like processed or anything.
Okay,
Yeah, very good.
nice.
And Arby's beef and cheddar never misses any time.
Yeah, Arby's is good.
Arby's
is
is
good. And
good.
we have a Kelly's roast beef coming to the area, which I saw on Facebook.
Yes,
yesterday.
breaking
Which I did
fat
not know.
fucks news.
Yeah, that was. I mean, honestly, Haps is fucking goated anyways, so
Yes.
we always had Haps. But having
That
the
North-
Kelly's roast beef
Yeah,
is a little bit cheaper. I feel like it's more like
yep.
it's a little bit cheaper, but I mean, I love Haps is just so good, and so is the Kelly's roast beef, the North Shore. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
North Shore.
fantastic.
Yeah, so good. The barbecue sauce, the cheese. Oh my fuck,
The mayo,
it's so good.
yeah.
The mayo, damn.
This way we
Well-
don't need another fucking place to go eat.
Yeah, no, I still haven't been to the Chick-fil-A in Portsmouth in Newington yet.
There was
but
nobody
yeah.
there when I was in Portsmouth yesterday around
Yeah.
1:30. It was weird. The drive-thru was completely dead.
Mm-hmm.
Half hour later, it was backed up again. But I've gone,
Every time I drive by, it's
twice.
been busy. Oh yeah,
I've gone twice. I went in both times, and I was in the place for less than 5 minutes.
right. Yeah.
So if you just don't do the drive-thru, you're in and out.
Yep. Cool. So this week we watched a few things. Kind of a lighter week. We did have a big premiere on Netflix. One of the first shows that premiered on Netflix live is going to be weekly. Raw. WWE Raw premiered. Brought out everything. All in the first episode, from the very beginning to the very end. Not a lot of matches, but it did have a very cinematic feel to it. The way the camera angles were, the way this thing was filmed was the best WWE's looked in years.
My first question to you is, how do you feel about the mat? Because that was a point of contention on the internet.
The mat, going into it, I mean, the mat is gray, black, like black gray
it's
now.
black. Yeah.
With advertisement, the advertisers on there, including Hulk Hogan's beer, which we're going to talk all about.
Yep.
But
And Fortnite and a few others, yeah.
Fortnite, yeah, and Prime, Logan Paul's drink. But it's weird. It's very hard to get used to. But the way that they filmed this, the way this whole thing worked, it felt like a big fight feel. That's kind of where I was the whole time. Even
It
the
felt like
referee, down to the referee
Jake
costumes
Paul,
were great. Right.
Mike Tyson stuff. Like, it felt like that type of show.
Right. Well, you got TKO running everything, so it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense what they're trying to do here. But yeah, even up down to the referee now have a lighter gray outfit compared to the black and white stripes that they've been wearing for decades. But the show started off with this big roped off area of the ring with looks like tall, long, story wide sheets. That Triple H was in the middle of the ring and the sheets came down, and he welcomed everybody to the Netflix era. And then right after that, The Rock comes out. The Rock, 25 years later, is still the biggest pop of anybody that's in the WWE ring right now, except for Stone Cold when he shows up. But it's
The
just,
hierarchy
it's
of the WWE on Netflix is about to change.
yeah.
Rock will be around for
And-
the entire beginning of the Netflix run, because I assume
It's
he's
funny-
doing some at Mania.
Yeah, the way it's set up. I mean, we saw Roman Reigns versus Solo for the leadership of the tribe or whatever the hell they were doing. And The Rock, of course, crowned Roman Reigns the tribal chief again.
Yep.
And the way that he was looking at him, you can kind of tell, yeah, this is setting up something for Mania, which has been the rumor for how many years? Five, 6, 7 years that's going to be the match, especially The Rock's final match. But we'll see where that goes. This is, of course, the beginning of WrestleMania season, so we're setting up everything for Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and then we'll get to the Mania in a couple months. But best match of the night, CM Punk versus Rollins by far, and they just took out just took it all out on each other. Great storytellers to begin with, but just having those two in the ring, just knocking each other out was
Punk's
amazing.
first match on Raw since 2013, right?
Yep, first match on TV, I believe, since 2013. He's been on pay-per-views, but I think this is the first time he's been on TV for WWE. But the one thing that the news media outlets picked up on, oh god, I wish we could play sound, because I could play the real American sounder right now with a Price is Right. Hulk Hogan came out. The biggest star of the
He did.
80s, the 90s, maybe, if you want to say that too, with the NWO, even though he was a heel at the time. Well, he got the same kind of pop that night. The whole entire arena erupted in boos when Hogan came out. He came out with Jimmy Hart waving his flag in front of him. He looked so awkward in the corner. He looked so awkward, like, oh god.
Like Hogan's arthritis is definitely kicking in because you noticed when he was doing this thing here, like usually it's like that. He was like he couldn't get his wrist around, so he was like,
well, Hogan's geriatric at this point. I mean,
oh yeah.
Hold on a second. I forgot one thing, so just vamp for 1 second. Talk about Hogan and what happened because I forgot to put the slides on here.
Let's just say Hogan found out his daughter was dating somebody of a different color.
Right.
And
this was a decade ago after the Bubba the Love Sponge tape.
Let's just say he made it very clear that he did not agree with going outside the. He doesn't like other races.
He's a racist. That's all you have to say. I wish I had the photo. I would have put it on here of Hulk Hogan. I would have had the picture of Hogan with Booker T looking over his shoulder with the disgust in his face of Hogan being on the microphone. I love that meme. Yeah, Hogan was booed out of the building. The people, the stadium in LA, or the whatever you want to call it, the arena, did not want anything to do with Hogan. And a lot of people, I mean, the media picked up on this because, of course, Hogan was right there in front of Trump when he was running for president. But they're making it a political issue, like, oh, he's a Trumper now, we're going to boo him out of the building.
Well, I mean, wearing the MAGA Powers t-shirt didn't help his cause.
Yeah.
Openly, like a lot of people were like, why doesn't anyone have an issue with Taker as the other one? Because Taker's been very much pro-Trump. But Taker wasn't going to all the rallies, and he wasn't doing the hype-up stuff like that. He's just let it be known that he's votes for Trump. He's a Republican. But yeah, I think, well, I mean, Hogan was canceled previously by WWE when all this stuff happened, 10 years ago with his daughter. And the leaked tapes, too, of him talking in Carney to his son in prison, where he drops the N-bomb, but in Carney. So, I mean, you could just feel the cringe when he came out. It was awful.
Very awkward. Vince brought him back. I think it's just because Vince has such a history with Hogan, and he just thought that I cannot have the WWE without having Hogan here. But I mean, look who's saying that. Vince McMahon
he built the WWE with Hogan.
Right. And then this was a few years after that tape had leaked, and the sex tape leaked and everything, and Hogan just went under. But it was everything that everybody was talking about. For the wrong reasons, but the show looked great, and cinematically it just looked like they've picked up everything to 11. I mean, it just looked amazing, and Triple H is doing a fantastic job, I think. AEW, on the other hand, oof. No. The only thing they have good, it's just, it feels like they have MJF held hostage on that show. I don't know, have you watched any of it on Warner Brothers on Max yet?
I watched about 8.5 minutes of it and turned it off.
Yeah, it's very hard to watch. It's basically how we felt when we saw it live in Boston a few years ago, but very hard to watch. But the best thing, it just feels like MJF. He's the best thing they have, but he has nowhere to go. It's actually making his character weakened being there, which sucks because we loved him when we saw him in Limitless and in Westbrook back almost 5 or 6 years ago now. But the
rumor is, though, that when his negotiations were up, WWE had no interest in him.
That's retarded.
Which is odd. They do have a pretty big roster right now, though. But yeah, that was the rumor, or maybe he had no interest in them, which would also be odd. Because you don't say that publicly when you're coming up on negotiations. But yeah, it just sucks that MJF is just kind of held hostage there.
I think at the time he may have had more hope that something would happen, and was this before? I can't remember if it was before the CM Punk shit happened, but they kind of put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth, on and off screen and behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
I think it was around that time. I think AEW also gives bigger guarantees. That's how they get people to sign there. So
less schedule, bigger guarantees, more money because it's owned by the Khans, or the Jaguars, but. All right, let's go further into the show, what we watched. We had a penultimate episode of Skeleton Crew that aired this week. infiltrating the planet of At-Aten, which we see the interior of this planet, which is all a foundry of making gold bars, an old foundry. I'm not sure if this is it's Old Republic credits, I believe. We're not really sure much about this show. I don't know what your feelings are. It's good, but it's lost kind of the luster that it had in the beginning for me.
It's very. I mean, like I said before, I was 10 years old. It'd be my favorite show of all time.
I think so too.
It's not for us. I mean, like watching the Goonies in 2025 as an adult is different than watching the Goonies in 1990 as a fucking 5-year-old.
It's getting less Goonies and more weird Star Wars, back to like prequel days, I guess you could say. I don't know, but yeah, very strange. We got one more episode next week. I do like Jude Law's character in this. I'm interested to see what happens with him. He's some sort of a pirate with. We're not even sure if he has Jedi powers or what's going on, or the Force power. We're not really sure, but he does have a lightsaber. Lightsaber looked cool this week. He actually used it. But then we get into a finale of Creature Commandos. We love this show. This episode was just as good, maybe one of the better episodes of the season so far. And we have a reference of Ghost Rider, which is a Marvel character, when the bride calls Frank Dr. Phosphorus Ghost Rider. This episode's all about Nina's origin. Nina is the girl with the bubble on her head.
I mean, yes, but she's seriously useless.
Right. But she does have a tragic story, which I was interested in this episode.
Yeah. This episode was awesome.
Very good. And the end of it, well, spoilers. I'm going to give spoilers because who cares at this point.
Right.
Nina is the one character in the show that actually was sacrificed and died. And the other one in the beginning of the season was G.I. Robot, which we actually get G.I. Robot back at the end of the show. In the comic book run of G.I. Robot, there's different iterations of him. He's a robot, so he can be rebuilt. He can be made better the next time, and that's exactly what happened. He's a big, huge, brooding robot now, setting up what he's going to look like in Season 2. We also see a bunch of new members of the Creature Commandos, including a returning King Shark from the Suicide Squad, voiced by Dietrich Bader, who was voiced by Sylvester Stallone in the movie. But they got Dietrich Bader, who, if you've seen Office Space, if you've seen him, you see him in everything. He's a voice of Batman.
Yeah, that's right. He's Batman.
Yep. And the after credits scene, because in the beginning of this episode, the bride and Frankenstein have a very quick reunion until the bride shoots him and kills him. But then you find out in the after credits scene that he's alive. Frankenstein is alive, and he's mending his wounds. He's Frankenstein. He's not going to die. So, very good show. Lived up to the hype, I believe. I wasn't expecting much of it, of a cartoon, but I thought it was very good. A very good ending. Lots of heart to it throughout. And no character is safe, pretty much.
Yep. Thing that did annoy me about this show is, while I did enjoy it, the main plot always had subplots of them going back and finding out the character's origin.
Yes.
The main plot wasn't nearly as fascinating as the origin plot of each character.
You're right.
The main plot was it was very like C, maybe C plus if you want to stretch it, but like everything else was like B plus ish, B to a B plus. Because it's just the main story was kind of, and it ended kind of stupidly, but overall I really enjoyed this show. The Weasel episode, the G.I. Robot episode are both fantastic.
Dr. Phosphorus. I loved all the characters.
There wasn't a single bad backstory. They were all great characters. They all had very well done backstories. I just wish their overall mission arc or their mission part was a little bit better, but it is what it is. And overall, I enjoyed it. And now the actual DCU will start with Superman in July.
Yep. Yeah, cannot wait. And you have not seen it. There was a new episode of Dexter this week. You're going to watch it tonight. Next week, they are off. We are not going to be talking about Dexter. I got all messed up. Yep. We'll talk about this episode next week, though. Not much to talk about. However, there was some Dexter news which I want to talk about. We've been hoping this was going to happen, but it was announced that James Remire, David Zazes, and Jack Alcott, who are all in well, they're all, well, James and David were in, of course, the original Dexter run, and Jack Alcott played Dexter's son Harrison in the New Blood that came out a couple years ago. All coming in, returning for Dexter's Resurrection, which has just started filming today. And Desmond Harrington
Yes. Bring him back.
posted on
Bring him
his
back. Just one scene is all we
Instagram.
need.
We want to see the whole entire cast come back, and
Oh, yeah.
that includes, of course, Mazuka.
Bazooka.
That includes
Pretty much
him
and Bazooka are the only ones that aren't coming back at this point.
and
Everyone else
the
is
guy
dead,
that I
except for
mentioned.
Cap Matthews.
Yeah, the guy I mentioned to you off pod, Captain Matthews. We don't know him yet in the prequel.
I wonder. I don't want to say he's dead, but he wasn't a spring chicken by the end of Dexter.
Oh, you're right. Maybe he did. Yeah.
I
Um,
don't know, but yeah.
But yeah, very excited for this show. Just started filming, so we're gonna see this summer. It's awesome. So
Update. He is still alive. He is still with us. Captain Matthews is a few years younger than my
Excellent.
father. He's 76, so he is still with
excellent.
us, and he should be retired in Miami on a boat.
Keep it
and
strong.
He should be able to come in for, a couple scenes, make some monies.
Yeah, I asked you off pod, how long can this show last? I mean, this show was supposed to end 10 years ago. Came back, did a great job ending what they fucked up 10 years ago.
I think it was so popular they weren't expecting it to be
Right.
like that, like with people wanting more. Because that was like the whole thing, like you didn't watch at the time, the whole thing going into that last episode is it doesn't feel like there's enough time for this story to play out. And it felt rushed, like the last 15 minutes of that episode did feel rushed. I still think it should have been better if it was 13 episodes and they were chasing in the last 3 and then you could have ended it perfectly there. But yeah, it could go on forever. I have no idea what this one's going to be about. Because he could be facing the death penalty back in Miami. And like I mentioned to you, somebody on Twitter, one of their theories, I was talking to him about it, is that maybe he could be doing like the Hannibal Lecter thing where he's going to help them try to solve a serial killer or something, or if they're going to actually do the trial. Like there's so many ways this could go. He could escape again and be on the run.
Right. The only thing that I know is that there's been casting of a choir in New York City for the show. So they are filming in New York City, which has been the rumor for a while. Yep. This show originally was going to be a sequel to New Blood, but it was going to be through Harrison.
Yes.
It was all going to be Harrison's story. Mm-hmm. Him running through New York City, living with what he did to his father, so on and so forth. That, I think, now that we know Harrison's in it, I think this is kind of transformed into that, mixed with Dexter coming back,
kind of like
mixed with bringing everything back. Yeah.
Ray movie turned into another just regular Star Wars movie starring Ray.
Yeah,
They probably had an idea and they probably couldn't figure out a way to keep it captivating for 10 episodes. So this will be very interesting. I have no idea what they could do. They could creatively go anywhere, and hopefully it's good. Yeah.
Yep, and I hope we get some more casting announcements because they could bring in a lot of the people that he's killed in the past. He could bring in back his brother. He can bring back what's her name, the chief there. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. The one that was dating Angel. I can't. What's her name? She's the one that Dexter killed in the container.
Fucking blanking on her.
I hate that.
Gloria. What's her last name?
No.
LaGuerta.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, LaGuerta.
Yeah, that's it. Love to see her come back. It'd be just like ghost of his past harassing him. His sister could come back, do the same thing. Same issue with that. So, very excited. Another thing I'm excited to do this year, brought it up last week when we were doing the preview for 2025. We have Daredevil coming out in just about 8 weeks. Brand new season. And I never finished the Netflix series. I ended on The Defenders, which is, of course, if you remember way back in the day, it was Daredevil, it was Jessica Jones, it was Luke Cage, it was The Punisher, which I watched the first season of, which I missed. And The Defenders brought Iron Fist too. And Defenders was like the Avengers of all these Netflix heroes in Hell's Kitchen coming together as a team to defeat the big bad. Good. Who was Sigourney Weaver, which was not good, you're right. Yeah. And that's probably what took me out of the Netflix series at the time. Plus, there's a lot of stuff personally going on in my life. But
now, did you see the second season of Daredevil? You did.
I did. So Punisher? I saw the origin.
just haven't seen Punisher and just haven't seen season Daredevil 3, correct?
Yep. And we've got Jessica Jones, Luke Cage season 2. I believe Jessica Jones has a season 3. And Iron Fist season 2.
Luke Cage got season 2. See,
Yes.
I stopped caring about Luke Cage when they killed off the guy who's been attached to Blade for
Cottonmouth.
10 years.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they killed him off is when I stopped caring about that.
Yeah, there's a
show
big
and
swerve in
character.
that show.
And Iron Fist season 1 isn't as bad as I thought people thought it was.
Nope, I thought it was
season
good
2
too.
is actually pretty good.
Yep.
And I had no interest in Jessica Jones. I liked the first season, but just didn't care to go on to the next season.
Yeah, and I believe it ended with a third season of that too. That was the last show that aired. But when we're talking about Punisher, the origin of this character was in Daredevil season 2, and it was fantastic. They had him and they had Elektra in there. They had the origin of both of them, continuing the story of Daredevil, which was great.
Funny that you watched Punisher this week because I watched the Daredevil season 2 episodes with Punisher in it this week.
Oh, cool! Very cool.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's funny that I watched it too because there's some Punisher news we're going to talk about at the end. But before this came out in 2017. The deal with Fox, I think, happened in 2019. So a couple of years after this. So there was still the deal with Netflix was going on. TV was separate from Marvel movies.
Officially it went through around that
Right.
time. It took a few
And
years.
then Netflix canceled all the series and then it eventually went back to Marvel fully. And of course, that's why it's on Disney Plus now, which is where I watched this. And the casting of John Bernthal as Punisher from the very beginning when I saw him in Daredevil has been spot on. Perfect. He does a depiction of PTSD that I don't think I've seen in any other movie, any other media form. That's just incredible. Bringing in the cast of this show, we see Ebon Moss-Bachrach, who of course is going to be the Thing soon in Fantastic Four. He's in The Bear. He's been in Andor, the Star Wars show. He's been in a bunch of stuff, and I did not know he was in this. He had a big, huge, chunky role in this too. Ben Barnes as Jigsaw, fan-fucking-tastic. Have you ever seen Ben Barnes in anything else?
He does commercials now. I think he does insurance commercials. Now that you see
maybe.
him, when you see the commercials, you'll be like, "Oh, that's Ben Barnes." He was a lot of people's pick for. I think people were mentioning him fan cast for like Batman or somebody in the DC.
Yeah, I could see that.
But,
I could see that.
Yeah, he's fantastic in the show.
He was Prince Caspian in the Narnia movies. That's where I saw him before this.
Okay, gotcha.
Incredible New York accent, considering that he's British. He went right. He must have went to a dialect called. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. The dialect is amazing what they do. But you see his great origin in this, where that name comes from, where he comes from. Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page. She was in True Blood, and she was in Daredevil. That's where she got her start working for with Foggy and Matt Murdock. Clancy Brown, who was in Daredevil, who was in Defenders, I believe, or Daredevil season 2. He had a cameo in this, coming back. The main bad guy in this is the priest from The Sopranos. Don't know his name, but I wanted to mention that. The one that Carmela tries to have relations with. Mary Ellis Mastrano, I don't know how to say her name, but she was the sister of Scarface and Al Pacino's Scarface in the 80s. She was also in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. She was Marion, and she was in The Perfect Storm, the movie that came out in like 2000 with George Clooney about the boat off of Cape Cod. Great show, great cast. I'm glad I watched this. I just wish I would have watched it 5 years ago. Another one of those shows that just missed. Yeah, it's always been on my radar. It's stuff I want to watch, but like I mentioned, I think it's the Defenders just took me out of that universe completely because it was not good. I did like, and like you mentioned, I did like Iron Fist. I liked Luke Cage probably more than you did, and I liked Jessica Jones probably more than you did. But their bread and butter is what they did with the Punisher character and Daredevil. They just did an amazing job with both of those characters with the Netflix, and that's why both of them are coming back for Daredevil Born Again. Next on my list, probably going to start it either this weekend or next, is Jessica Jones season 2.
Oh God,
Jessica
You're
Jones.
actually going to do that to yourself?
Yeah, I liked season 1. I liked the Purple Man. He was played by David Tennant. I'm not sure if I can't remember if he comes back at all for season two. I don't remember much
I don't
about when
believe
that
so. I
came
watched, I think, 2 or 3 episodes of it, and I couldn't do any more.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to slog through it in the next couple of weeks. But a movie that you recommended to me last week, I had a chance to watch. Anora. Mikey Madison. She plays the main character in this. That's her on the poster right there if you're on YouTube. She's the main character, Anora, or she goes by Annie. She plays a prostitute in this movie. Or a stripper, kind of prostitute in this movie. Escort, if you want to call her. And this young kid named Vanya, is that his name?
I think so.
He's a young Russian kid, early 20s maybe, who's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of power because of the money. And he goes in there and pretty much hires her to be a escort for the night. And that turns into a couple of days. And then turns into a week. And then they go to Vegas. And then they get
He
married.
wants to impress his friends, so he has her be there for a week or whatever, yeah.
Yep. And then his family finds out he got married in Vegas. And they're the ones with the money and get pissed off and threaten to take everything away, so they have to get the marriage annulled. The story is very good. This is directed by Sean Baker, who directed The Florida Project. It was a movie I haven't seen.
Yep.
Got a lot of praise. This movie got a lot of praise. It won the best movie at the Cannes this year. But my standout favorite of this movie, which is everybody's standout favorite, is Igor.
The bald guy, right?
The bald guy. Not
Yes,
a lot
he's
to the
awesome.
role. He's kind of like one of the henchmen of the movie. But by the time the end of this movie comes along, you want to see more of Annie and Igor. Especially the very last scene of this movie when... I don't want to give too many spoilers away because it's not going to make sense what I talk about, but they kind of have an embrace at the end where she breaks down because everything's falling apart in her life. As she's riding him, cowgirl. But it's like you mentioned last week to me, it's a lot of softcore porn. There's a lot of sex at the beginning of it.
First hour is,
Yep, the beginning of it's all softcore porn. Very good movie though. I can see why people are praising the hell out of it, and I think the main stars of this movie, Mikey Madison, and the guy who plays Igor are going to be in a lot of other roles. We're going to see him in the future. Even the kid who plays Vanya, I think he's great too. All Russian cast. By the way, I did fix the dub
there is
or the subtitles.
There is subtitles for
I don't
Russian, so I'm going to rewatch it. I was actually, until you told me Dexter actually came out this week, I was going to watch it with the subtitles tonight, but I'll get around to that because, I mean, I understood it fine without the context of what they were saying in Russia because you just kind of get the impression of what's going on because whatever. But and even without understanding that context, it's still one of my favorite movies of the year, so can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very, very good. Movie that's not good, and I didn't even finish it, but I want to bring it up just to lambast the shit out of it. That, by the way, that's Igor, and that's Annie. Great character development with that movie. Lord of the Rings: The War of Rohirrim, which I love. Lord of the Rings. I even like The Hobbit. This was fucking trash.
Nothing good about this from people that like Lord of the Rings as well. I've heard
it's very
nothing but good things.
Very boring. Set 200 years before The Hobbit. No hobbits. No, in the first part of this movie, nothing. It didn't feel Lord of the Rings. It felt very far from that. Just depicting all of the humans. No elves. No nothing. Same score used in the New Line films. Come to find out, they were the ones that produced this as well. They also produced the originals. This was announced in 2021. Fast-tracked so New Line didn't lose the film rights to the Tolkien universe. So it took them 3 years to make it, and it was anime style, so the animation, I did not like the animation. A couple of screenshots I saw beforehand were okay. The cast was led by Brian Cox. He kind of played the king at the time of the King of Rohan. Miranda Otto reprises her role as Elwyn from Arwen from the original Lord of the Rings. She narrated this. They use archival audio recordings of Christopher Lee as Saruman. Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan played two orcs. Of course, they were Merry and Pippin in the original run. just not good. Not a good movie. I was not impressed with it. I didn't even finish it because I got bored. I got too bored to watch it. I'm probably not going to finish it, but I didn't want to bring it up. Not good. Yeah. We did not watch A Complete Unknown this week. Life was busy. Gonna try to watch it next week because we also have gifts for each other. I have all my gifts for you for Christmas, so we're gonna have a late mid January Christmas spectacular next week. With that being said, we did have a lot of trailers this week, so let's get into the news. Where is the news? There it is. And it's not a news segment, another trailer roundup. First trailer is a comedy, question mark, starring Amy Schumer. She's been in a lot of stuff, called Kinda Pregnant, where she plays this person who's pretending that she's pregnant to get a whole bunch of sympathy from people. This comes out on Netflix next month on the 5th. Rated R comedy. Not even sure who is directing it. I don't think it's anybody of name. It's a Happy Madison project, a production though. Done through Adam Sandler, but yeah, it looks okay. It's Amy Schumer in a comedy. It's what you'd expect. This I am excited for. Comes out next week, actually in 6 days. A 4-part documentary called SNL 50 Beyond Saturday Night. Comes out on Peacock exclusively. 4 parts. They brought in a lot of the cast throughout the years to do this. From the early days to from the current days. There's also a lot of audition tapes. Of course, we're a month away from the big 50th anniversary special. If you remember 10 years ago, they did the 40th, and they had a whole bunch of cool segments going on. They brought back Celebrity Jeopardy. It was one of the last times Norm Macdonald was on live TV. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Another movie, weird trailer, called Dark Match, coming out on Shudder, starring Chris Jericho. This is a horror movie set in a wrestling ring.
Did you actually watch the trailer?
I did. It looks horrible.
It looks fucking
It looks
awful,
like cheap
but
trash.
I can't wait to watch it.
Right.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yep. This trailer looked good. I don't know what the hell the movie's about, but it stars Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich, from the director of Resident Evil, and George R.R. Martin, author of Game of Thrones. He wrote it. In the Lost Lands. This is what he decided to do instead of finishing his Game of Thrones book series, by the way. Paul W.S. Anderson directed this. Comes out sometime this winter. I don't remember the date, and I don't remember much about it. But trailer looked good. Reminded me a lot of Resident Evil, though. This movie also looked good. Starring Jack Quaid and her. If you're on YouTube and see her, she was the lead in Heretic last week, and we talked about it. This comes out on January 31st. It's about this. It's called Companion. It's about this girl who's a AI robot, who ends up when Jack Quaid ends up buying to be like a sex slave, like a sex robot, and she ends up becoming sentient. And she ends up turning up her intelligence and everything, and she becomes very Terminator-like by the end of it, which I love movies like that. I love stories like that, so we'll see where that goes. But this trailer blew me away. I think it blew you away, too, if I saw your Instagram this week talking about it. Jason Statham, a working man.
Yes. Well,
action.
I know you still haven't seen it, but The Beekeeper is still one of my favorite movies from this year, or last year.
Yeah, I still have to watch it, yep.
And this is... Watch it right before we see this movie, if we see this in the theater.
Yep.
But yeah, I am very excited for this. Written by Sylvester Stallone, gets David Ayer back together with Jason Statham, and while it does look basically like The Beekeeper, I'll always watch a movie about him taking out people that are conning people out of their money, or him taking on like human trafficking rings, which is what this is about.
Yeah. Comes out March 28th. It looks good. Jason Statham is in 2 of my favorite action movies, Crank and Crank 2. I love both of those movies. Yep. Weekend box office last week, Mufasa, Lion King, it made $23.8 million. Sonic Movie 3 made $21.2, and Nosferatu made $13.2 million. Still excited to see that movie. Squid Game Season 2. In the first 11 days, had 126 million views on Netflix, faster than any other Netflix series. Now the second most popular non-English series in Netflix history. And that was beaten this week by WWE. It had I don't have the exact. I think I did. Where is it? In the first night, I think it was because the ratings are weird on Netflix. They had 4.9 million views globally just in the first night, and I think the next day is how they figured that out. And the 18 to 49, which is their bread and butter, what they want to see, was very high. 1.2 million households in the U.S. alone, or higher than 1.2 million in U.S. households alone. So yeah. And Wicked came out on digital right after Christmas. It made $70 million in its first week. It's because they were charging $30 for a fucking movie. And everybody wants to see it. I don't know if have you had a chance to watch it yet? Probably not.
No.
Very good. It's racked up 26 million in its first day and 70 million just in the first week in the United States and Canada. So that's pretty good. We had the Golden Globes last week. We got some of the people that were nominated that won. Zoe Saldana, for a movie I had not heard of until last week, and Emilia Perez. It's a musical about a trans woman starring Zoe Saldana and what's her name from Selena Gomez, and this woman who won Best Actress. I don't know who she is either, but Jean Smart won for Hacks, Best Performance of a Female. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, which I hear is good, but I think it's coming out streaming this week.
That's the
Shogun.
Jesse Eisenberg directed movie, right?
Yep.
It's him and Jesse Eisenberg in it? Okay.
Shogun won big for actor and supporting actor.
Yep. Great show.
Best female in supporting role on television, Jessica Gunning, who was in Baby Reindeer. Great fucking show. Jeremy Allen White won for Best Television Musical or Comedy Actor. Conclave won Best Screenplay. I keep hearing about that movie too with Ralph Fiennes. Sebastian Stan won for A Different Man, Best Actor in Musical, Comedy, and Motion Picture. Demi Moore won for Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture.
Two things comedy. I learned about this movie this week. The Substance, of course. Probably my second movie on the year. Demi Moore was retired and accepted this role because she wanted to work with Ray Liotta, who was attached to play the Dennis Quaid character before his death. Also, the director was offered Black Widow and turned that down to write and direct this movie.
Interesting.
Yes, I thought that was interesting. I'm like, she really was just like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. And she fucking
she did a great
part with this movie.
Yeah,
like this
great
movie
job
will get her. This movie will get her the directing credits for like another Marvel if she wants to do that, or she can do her own thing. I fucking love this movie. Every time I've seen it like 5 times. Really?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. Very strange movie from the beginning, and then how it turns into it in the end and almost to a whole other different horror movie. But Jodie Foster won for her role in True Detective. Colin Farrell won for best actor in a limited series for The Penguin. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross won for Challengers for best original score. Wicked won the participation trophy for the Golden Globes, cinematic and box office achievement. Baby Reindeer won for best limited series. Hacks won for best comedy musical. Shogun won for best drama. I don't know who that is. The Brutalist, which is the first time I heard about this movie last week as well, won for best picture.
I've been waiting for this. It's going not live. It's going worldwide, I guess you could say, soon. This is one I've only heard about on like fucking podcasts where they talk about like nerdy fucking how to film a movie type shit. But it's also like 3.5 hours, and they even have a built-in intermission in it.
Wow.
But I'm really looking forward to it, although I've heard the second half is not that good, but the first half is incredible.
In that movie, Adrian Brody also won for best male actor in a drama, and The Brutalist also won for best motion picture for a drama. And this Emilia Perez, which I talked about in the beginning, original song sung by Zoe Saldana, I guess, who's in this movie as well, won for best song. And Best Motion Picture, Non-English Language, and Best Motion Picture, Musical and Comedy for Emilia Perez as well. This is a Netflix movie. No idea. Didn't hear about it till last weekend. French director, I believe. And the lead is a trans woman. So, yeah. Very strange. Never heard of it.
I listened to, like I said a second ago, I listened to, like, geeky, like, inside Hollywood fucking podcasts, and I never even heard of it. Like, not even on the Real Blend, which I listen to every week, and they always see shit like this and recommend it, which is just odd.
Yeah. Of course, you got the wildfires happening over there in California, and a lot of things are getting postponed and moved because the city's burning. So, Oscar nominations were supposed to come out on the 17th, and they are delayed till the 19th. It's just a couple of days.
Yep. I hope everyone out there is doing okay. It's terrible what they're going through. Seeing people on my timelines having to evacuate and shit like that. Yeah, it sucks.
That's some scary shit. The fire and the wind. Seeing the wind over there.
See, that's the thing is, it's not even the fire; it's the wind that spreads everything. Like fire can't be contained when there's that much wind. I mean, even here it's been windy as hell too. So I can only imagine if you had a fire to that situation, what's going to happen. But yeah, my thoughts are with everyone out there.
Yeah, especially when these people are entertaining us and seeing their lives being torn apart like that. It's hard and it's heartbreaking to see. We talked about it last week, public domain. I wanted to bring up what's going to be in public domain in the next 10 years. Next year, I think I mentioned Pluto and Betty Boop. 2028, Goofy. 2029, Donald Duck and King Kong. 2032, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The big ones that we want to talk about, though, are 2034, Superman. Just in a mere 9 years, it's going to be in public domain. 2035, a year later, Bugs Bunny and Batman. So just 10 years from now, Batman will be in public domain, so we may get a Batman horror movie. 2036, we'll see Captain America and the Joker. 2037, we'll see Wonder Woman. And 2038, we'll see Bambi. So public domain, strange thing, how those laws still happen that way. It's a way to protect. It's a way to kind of protect it for a limited amount of time, but to also keep things moving as far as pop culture is concerned, to keep things flowing, keep creative flowing. So that's why this happens. But speaking of creative, Disney has inked a deal to merge with Hulu Plus with Fubo. Now, if you remember, Fubo sued Disney, Warner Brothers, and Fox for this big, huge venue, which is supposed to be a streaming conglomerate. It was going to have all of their live streams plus ESPN Plus, all the on-demand stuff. It's going to be a huge thing. Well, that got canceled because of this. They're not moving forward with that Venu bundled sports streaming platform, but they are going to be merging Hulu Live TV with Fubo, which Fubo is one of the bigger live stream TV apps. That and YouTube TV, I think, was number one. That's what we use at the restaurant. We use Fubo at the restaurant. Yep. So, yeah, they're going to be merging. I actually like the interface of Hulu Live, but...
Yeah, Hulu's got a good interface. Fubo, I think we use Fubo because you can actually get, the local sports and for, cheaper than the other ones, which is why we use it at the restaurant.
But I think this is a way to... They also, I don't think Fubo had Disney. They didn't have any of the Disney properties because Disney charges a lot of money to have ABC and Disney Channel and all that stuff. And this is a way for them, now that they're going to be combined, and they are going to be two separate companies going forward too, so they're going to have two separate apps, maybe merging later on, but yeah.
I like how Hulu's connected to Disney too, because, for instance, I was at my cousin's 3 weeks ago, and me and her husband had a few drinks, and we were like, let's watch Always Sunny, and his Hulu app just wasn't, loading. So we just went to the Disney Plus app and used Hulu through there. It just works flawlessly.
That's what I'm doing now too.
Yeah,
I've merged all my stuff.
Yep. I saw them.
I've done that too. Yep, that's all I have too. Breaking Bad House, which if you saw Breaking Bad, it's the one that he throws a pizza on the top of the roof of.
Fucking ridiculous.
Which
you heard
is
about
selling.
That story, right? About people would, after the show ended, they would throw pizzas on top of the roof.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Still to this day, people throw pizzas on that roof, and they're pissed off about it because they have to go up there and clean it up every time it happens. It's hot in Albuquerque, but going on the market for $4 million. For a lot of it is because of the market, but a lot of it's also because of the notorious nature of the show.
Mean, Now,
Yeah.
was this the same? Because usually this is the same house they shot in too, I believe, from the looks of it from the show. Because most of the times they
may
use
be
the
right.
exterior, and then
Yeah.
but like if you look at the actual like layout of the house, plus he does go in and out of it sometimes. So I think it's actually
Right.
still the same. Like if you were to buy like the fucking Home Alone house, it's not the same interior as the movie.
Yeah, they filmed it at a school. I heard that. I heard
Yeah.
that this week. They filmed Home Alone in a school, and they used that for the
Yeah,
exterior.
They built it. They did that on Movies That Made Us. They showed that the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
But yeah, $4 million though for that house.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
in
just a
York
standard-
Maine would be overpriced.
Right.
Like what the fuck?
Just a standard residential home. Nothing fancy
One
about it other
floor,
than people know what it
No
looks like.
basement. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Army Hammer, who was a
Yes.
cannibal, who got canceled out of Hollywood, has coming back. He's come back. He's been on a lot of podcasts lately.
For
And
fucking Yui Bowl, one of the worst
Um,
directors of all time.
well, Yui Boll is doing a vigilante thriller called The Dark Knight.
I signed a petition on Facebook 10 years ago trying to get Yui Bowl to retire. That guy can't
Well-
make a film. He can't make a film just like a guy with no arms can wipe his ass.
Well, he found Army Hammer in a gutter somewhere and hired him for the lead role of this movie.
Although I
But,
will
yeah.
say, one of my guilty pleasures is a Yui Bowl movie called Rampage. It's basically GTA,
Okay.
the movie, and it's fucking so entertaining. So I do recommend anybody that wants to see Rampage check it out. But Yui Bowl sucks.
Came out today that Vince McMahon settled his charges for the Federal Trade Commission or whatever the hell it was for all that money that he was paying out to people between 2018 and 2021 for his sexual activities. And he's paid off the
Pooping on
government
heads.
$1.7 million he paid off the government. So he did it all with WWE funds. That was the problem, and he didn't put it in to note that he did that. So the government
Yes, it
came
was
after
not in
him.
their QuickBooks.
Yep. Cillian Murphy, who we've been talking about, is going to be in 28 weeks later, 28 years later, whatever. Well, they've turned that around, and the producer came out this week and said that he will not be in the movie. They couldn't get the schedules connected, hoping that he will be a part of a sequel. There is a sequel to this movie coming out, I believe, the next year. It's probably filming around the same time.
Oh fuck! I heard the name of it too. It's not. It's 28
yes.
years later, and it's like the something.
Yes,
different
Tower.
director, it's something.
Gray
It's
Tower,
not-
something like that. Yeah.
It's not. I don't think Danny Boyle has any involvement in it, or he might be producing. But
Okay.
yeah, I heard about that today, which is kind of cool.
Yep. But yeah, Killian is not going to be in that. Also came out today that they are making there is a sequel script to We're the Millers sitting in Warner Brothers offices somewhere, just on a shelf.
We've been talking about this for years.
Tucker Tooley, who had written the script, says that the script we have a great sequel script to We're the Millers just sitting on a shelf at Warner Brothers. I keep calling, saying, "Come on, guys, let's go." One of the underground comedies of the last decade. Maybe I think it may have been even longer than that since this movie came
I
out.
was thinking about when we were always talking about doing a top 10 like comedy list. I actually thought about this when I saw this news that this would probably make it if I remembered when I was doing my list because I love this movie.
Starring Will Poulter, of course, who's in everything now, but back then he was a little kid who was a nerd who had a weird American
Can I buy
squeaky
some
accent.
weed? I'm rolling Han Solo this weekend.
Jacob Elordi is in negotiation to star in a Ridley Scott post-apocalyptic thriller called The Dog Stars for 20th Century Fox. Paul Mescal was going to be in that role, but he ran into some scheduling issues with the Beatles anthology movie he's doing for Sam Mendes. So, like Jacob Elordi, excited for that. Will Smith's social media this week
Oh my
posted
god.
this.
I saw this. Yes.
Of course, notoriously, Will Smith was going to be Neo in The Matrix. And he turned it down right before they started filming, so they cast Keanu. Who was supposed to be Morpheus in that? There's another...
It was, wasn't
Denzel?
Sean Connery, was it?
Maybe it
was
was
it
Sean
Denzel?
Connery. Maybe it
I
was
feel
Sean.
like it was, for some reason, I think Sean Connery.
Somebody like that. I think you're right. But, he posted this on Instagram, Facebook, all of his socials. In 1997, the Wachowskis offered Will Smith the role of Neo in The Matrix. Will Smith turned it down. He chose Wild Wild West, believing it was a better fit for him at the time. But the question remains, what would The Matrix have been like with Will Smith as Neo? And then the screen paused, turned black, and then they typed in "Wake Up, Will." There is a new Matrix movie being filmed soon. They're denying that he's been cast in it, but we'll have to wait and see why this even came out. Nothing else has come out about this. I would be interested to see if they brought in Will Smith to do a Matrix movie after all that.
It would be
especially now he's on a tour to repair himself after the
it
Chris
also
Rock
could
punch.
be like a young Morpheus movie. I don't know. Like,
Interesting.
I don't know. That just came to my mind. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who was originally cast as Morpheus, and it's giving me nothing but Lawrence Fishburne. But I'm pretty sure it was a white dude, old white dude. Pretty sure.
I think it is Sean Connery now that you mentioned it. We got a new look at Jonathan Bailey in Jurassic World Rebirth coming out on July 2nd. That's him right there with the backpack. Of course, he was just in Wicked. He played for Fario, whatever his name is. Daisy Edgar Jones has been reportedly cast in a Disney live-action movie of Prince Charming. It's already had Chris Helmsworth attached to play the lead. And she was in Twisters. She was a lead in Twisters that came out last summer. So yeah, she's going to be playing what they're saying, an animator whose drawings of Prince Charming come to life. So, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey will have a $250 million budget, one of the most expensive films ever made. Not surprised. Announced today, Shrek 5 has been delayed from July 1st, 2026 to December 23rd, 2026. So it's going to be coming out Christmas weekend. Actually, that's kind of perfect for that movie, Christmas release. So we are a week away from Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares. And we have the very first look at Captain Hook. And the premise of this movie is weird. Not only is it a horror movie set in the Pooniverse, and Peter Pan is a murderous lost boy, but Tinkerbell is fed heroin, which he calls pixie dust. We'll just leave it at that.
I can't wait. First day one, I'm in.
Mel Brooks, Mel Gibson, totally different person. Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan's podcast this week. I don't know if you've seen any clips of it.
Yes.
And he's talking about the Passion of the Christ sequel, which we thought was Passion of the Christ 2, The Resurrection. The name has changed. We'll talk about that in a minute, but he has delayed the sequel to 2026, and they're going to be filming it next year. And there's a lot of requirement because it's an acid trip. He's never read anything like it. He's writing it with his brother and his writing partner from Braveheart. And I have some notes on it. What he said, quote, "You got to have the origin. I have ideas about how to do it and how to evolve things about to depict that. I'm not sure I could pull it off. It's about trying to find a way that's not cheesy or obvious. It's almost like a magic trick. From the fall of the angels to the death of the last apostle." Also talking about Jim Caviezel coming back to play Jesus. They got to de-age him CGI because it's been 20 years. And the final title of the movie now is called The Resurrection of Christ instead of The Passion of Christ. It's going to start with the fall of the angels. They're going to be going to another realm, which will be hell. So it's going to be set in hell. So yeah, that's what he's talking about. It's going to take a while to get this right. He wants it to look right. Doesn't want it to look cheesy. I think it was in a direct quote that I saw. So yeah, whatever. It's one of those movies. It's on my list to watch it. We'll watch it next year when this movie comes out. I think I'll watch it, but not a religious person, but I do like movies. I like Mel Gibson, so I like everything that he's done except for the racist stuff. Started filming this week.
Well, that didn't happen on camera, so.
No. You just fucking smile and blow me. Scream 7 started filming this week. Excited for that. Also, talked about it earlier. Dexter Resurrection started filming this week in the snow in New York. Great timing.
They're really going to have that out by June, huh?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. TV show, they fast track that stuff. It's more, especially more than movies. Tom Holland, Zendaya reportedly are engaged, and that was officially confirmed this week.
Also, take her last name, just go by Tom.
Tom Heil, Tom
He's gonna just go by Tom. Hi, I
Zendaya
said in
Holland.
MySpace, my name is Tom. What's her last name? Like Collins or some shit?
I have no idea what her last name is. No idea.
I feel like
She has an
Collins or
interesting name.
something.
She has an interesting name though. He's
Coleman,
also
it's Zendaya Coleman. That's it.
okay.
Coleman.
Tom Holland is also going to be playing a lawyer in an upcoming adaptation of a John Grisham novel, The Partner, for Universal Pictures. And Holes. I don't know if you ever watched the original movie. It was a Disney movie. It came out probably 20 years ago, starring Shia LaBeouf. They're going to be making
I know it.
It's a good movie. It's actually a good movie. Coming out with a TV series. Picked up a pilot on Disney Plus. Season 2 of The Last of Us premieres in April. We'll talk about that in a couple months.
I'm gonna start the game soon. Finally, I've had it since launch.
And one of the worst kept secrets of Nintendo's history is this Nintendo Switch 2, which has leaked everywhere. From the Joy-Cons to for the overall look of it, it's going to look bigger than the initial Switch that's out now, the original. But we've talked about the Joy-Cons are going to be magnetic now. Rumors saying that January 7th, which is a week from today, this will be announced, and it may come out in March, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, we got some pictures, some new renders of it. CES came out this week, so there's some rumors about what's going on.
Would you be interested in buying a Switch 2?
Maybe. Depends on what games are coming out.
They
maybe
really
for a
need
new
to
3D Mario.
They need to lock down how they do their games. Because, like, say if my Switch dies right now, all of my games are digital, and I have no way to get them back.
Right, yeah.
Like the saves.
Yeah.
Everything's saved, obviously, to an SD. But, like, if your Switch dies, you don't have, like, the internal memory of the Switch anymore, which is fucking stupid. And playing online is dumb as shit, too. You have to get, like, a friend code. I don't like that either. But I honestly would think about just grabbing this one and just leaving my old Switch at my parents'.
Right, yeah. Or trading it in.
Yeah.
Lego, coming in October of 2025, a Lego Game Boy. They posted some pictures on their Instagram yesterday and on their social medias with the buttons from a Game Boy and a cross piece of the joystick.
So would you
whatever want to call it?
Would it just be like a Lego thing that would just be
Yes,
just a
that's
display
all it
piece
is.
that looks like a Game Boy? Okay, just
That's
making
all
sure
it
on
is.
that.
Yes. Popcorn buckets. Got Captain America coming out a month from now, so we got some new popcorn buckets for Captain America: Brave New World, with of course Red Hulk and Captain America and the poster. Looks cool. And let's get into some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
Detective Comics 27, I believe, is what the number is. This is a diorama of believe the first appearance of Batman, right? And yeah, it's gonna be $200. It's on Entertainment Earth, whatever that. Or I can't remember what that website is, but it's on there now. Also, brand new Human Torch figure from Deadpool and Wolverine, with Chris Evans' likeness. Looks good. Lots of flames, flaming on. Some other pictures here somewhere. There they are. Yeah, looks good. Looks cool. Looks like a good shelf-worthy piece. Do I have anything else?
So aren't they
that's
all
it
though?
for-
There isn't a single like hot toy that's not shelf worthy.
No, not really.
Even the bad ones are fucking awesome.
James Mangold has been talking about Star Wars this week, saying that his movie is set 25,000 years before Phantom Menace because, quote, "I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that it's almost immovable, and you can't please anybody." So in other words, he's making his own lore, so he doesn't have to be
Basically,
handcuffed to
he's
the
saying-
Skywalker saga.
Basically, he's saying I don't want to deal with the nerds that are freaked out because
Yes.
this person in 1999 was on a CD-ROM that George Lucas probably didn't even approve, and his birth date's messed up because now he's in the Acolyte and everybody thinks he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying, fuck your fandom. I love this. And I think that's the best way to go about that. Because you do have, like me and you, I don't think you had much of an issue with the Ki-Adi-Mundi stuff.
No.
I certainly didn't. He's one of my favorite characters from the prequels. So you're just going to avoid all that by just being like, I'm creating my own lore for this shit, and you can't do anything about it. And I love that.
Of course, Ray Stevenson passed away last year. He was in Ahsoka season 1. When they do Ahsoka season 2, they are bringing in the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Balin Skull is
Which-
going to be, or is the character, and
Apparently-
Rory McCann played that.
Apparently, they were like best friends.
Best friends.
Um,
That's what I heard too.
And he reached out to Ray Stevenson's widow to ask if he could accept the role, and she gave her full blessing because of how close they were. This is an interesting choice, a very interesting choice, because I've only seen this dude in Game of Thrones.
He was great in Hot Fuzz. He's great in Hot Fuzz. He plays like
was in
this
Hot Fuzz,
weird.
wasn't he?
He plays like this
Yeah.
weird, like mental person in the supermarket. Big buff muscle guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Ray Stevenson was the biggest highlight to me of that entire show.
Yep, mine too.
He just was awesome. Like the people that like that show and hated that show, I think everyone agrees that Ray Stevenson was great.
Yep. Yeah, I loved him in that too, especially when it ended with him. I think at that point he had already passed, so we knew that that was going to happen.
He passed before the show came out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't remember the timeline. Andy Muschietti talking a lot about stuff this week. First thing he talked about was It. Welcome to Derry prequel series, saying that there's going to be 3 seasons. First one set in 1962. Second season set in 1935, and the third season set in 1908. I'm excited for this. I love history, so I love to see Pennywise coming back every 27 years, I think is the timeline that he comes back. So very, very excited for that. Also talking about Robert Pattinson's Batman, saying that he will not be the DCU Batman in his movie. Quote, there is a Batman that everyone knows is a Batman that belongs in the new universe. The Batman of Matt Reeves is obvious. He's not from the new universe. And James Gunn says he's contemplating it. They've been going back and forth this week in interviews. And James Gunn said he's contemplated moving Robert Pattinson Batman into the DC universe. But the Batman director, Matt Reeves, says it really comes down to whether it makes sense.
Here's
So
the
yeah,
thing.
I don't
Here's
know.
the thing. No.
I don't want it. I don't
No.
want it.
I like having the two separate things. His Batman isn't even on the right Earth at this current moment, which is why the Riddler's real name was changed. Just don't. Also, the people that are saying, and I'm just saying it's a certain part of the fandom, I don't need to bring up the name, but they're all saying that Matt Reeves won't let James Gunn have him. And it's like, no. James Gunn is the head of the studio. If James Gunn says Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson is my Batman, guess what? Robert Pattinson is Batman. I think that as far as creators go, I think that James understands that Matt wants to continue solo, and so he's not going to force him to go into the DCU.
Right. He wants to
how I
finish.
take it.
He wants to finish his story, the one he started from the first.
And
movie.
I don't think as a creative James would want to take that away. Of course, people that hate James Gunn just for checks notes, accepting a job, they think he's an egotistical bastard who doesn't want to see Matt Reeves shine.
Right.
So,
Speaking of
there's
Matt
that.
Reeves, he was talking about the Batman sequel this week. Quote, we're doing something that absolutely continues where the story came from, but it's something that I hope people are really surprised by. I think he was on the red carpet of the Golden Globes this week.
Yep, this was.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Got a brand new
We'll see.
Got a brand new picture of Corn Sweat as Superman today. Very excited for that. We're going to be getting a first look at Superman on February 9th, the Puppy Bowl. Probably a full trailer at the Super Bowl. So I'm guessing this will be a preview
I'm
to the
guessing
Super
this
Bowl.
is just to show the people, like, fucking, when I was at my cousin's for Thanksgiving, they always do, like, the puppy stuff. Before that, and they do the same thing for the Super Bowl. And, I mean, they were all about watching the puppies do their tricks and stuff like that. So, to me, marketing it, it's like, this is a good move. A lot of people are giving him shit. And they're saying, what, no trailer at the Super Bowl? It's like, Super Bowl's still well over a month out. We didn't know the Flash trailer was going to be at the Super Bowl until, like, 2 weeks before. And that was, at that point, the biggest trailer for DC. So,
Right.
we'll find out in probably the next 4 weeks if they're going to do a trailer at the Super Bowl, which I assume they are.
But the Puppy Bowl will be on TBS, Max, Discovery Plus, Discovery, so you can watch it all on there. Captain America Brave New World on IMDb has been listed at 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'll have to wait and see on that. Seth Rollins confirmed that his role was cut from Captain America 4.
What the
script
fuck is up with that tuxedo? Can you put that in there?
Have you
'Cause
seen?
That is.
I can't.
Did you see his blue jacket thing he was talking about?
Yeah,
earlier?
that's what I was gonna mention to you. I was
He's
wondering
like,
if you saw
I have
that.
a blue shirt under a blue jacket. You know, so I
Looked
ripped
the same.
blue jacket off, and people thought the shirt was just me wearing the same blue jackets. And that's not
He's a
somebody else
strange guy.
being like, it was like that time Sting took off the fake Sting mask and revealed that it was just
Yes.
Sting underneath. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was pretty funny.
Brought this up earlier when we were talking about the Punisher season 1. The big rumor this week is that Marvel Studios is in early development of a Punisher series on Disney Plus, continuing the story that they're going to be telling in
He is
Daredevil
so
Born Again.
awesome. He is
He is.
so
He's
awesome,
awesome.
in that role. He's fucking incredible. He saved season 2 of Daredevil would have been like a fucking 5 out of 10 if it wasn't for him. He is
Right.
awesome.
Evan Moss Bacharach was on Jimmy Kimmel Live this week talking about filming Fantastic Four: First Steps, and he did confirm that he's filmed himself saying it's clobbering time, which we knew was going to be happening. Andy Serkis also, he announced, helped him film the mocap for The Thing, which is pretty cool. And finally in news, Cynthia Erivo, who's high on Wicked right now, talks about her dream role in the MCU. And we know that the X-Men are coming in, and her quote is, "I know it sounds frivolous, but I think we haven't uncovered how grand she is and all of the inner turmoil that she has, so I think there is a world which I could do something like that." Talking about X-Men's Storm. A lot of people do not like this.
I don't mind it. But you know what it
I don't
reminds me
either,
of?
because I like her.
This just reminds me of Mahershala Ali being like, calls up Kevin Feige, is like, I want to play Blade.
Yep.
And that has not gotten off the ground yet, and that was announced in 2019 or whatever it was, 2020.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, where is that movie?
So that's what this kind of reeks up to me, is like this person that's about to be credited with all these awards, rightfully so, because I've heard she's fantastic in the movie, is probably going to petition for a role, and let's hope they actually have plans for Storm at this point.
I
'Cause
believe
I
they
feel
have
like
plans for the X-Men. Out of everything, I
with
think that's one thing
Mahershala,
they have plans.
It seemed more like he was like, I want to play Blade, and Feige's like, okay, we'll figure out a way to work that in the story, and then they just haven't yet.
Right.
With this, I feel like X-Men actually, they know what they're doing, because X-Men is Feige's bread and butter. It's probably the last thing he's going to make sure it comes out correctly before he takes a higher up position or whatever, before he leaves MCU, because he worked on the first X-Men movies for Fox and shit. So
Yep.
I do
it'll
like
be
this
his full
cast
circle moment.
as
Yeah.
somebody that hasn't watched Wicked, but yeah, let's just hope they have their plans laid out for Storm. And of course, Storm was just in the What If series, right?
Yep, she was.
Okay.
I think their plans for X-Men are probably pretty heavy right now. That's where they're going to be going, and they know. I mean, once they have the Fox properties,
X-Men shit for like 3 years, and people would be okay with it.
Yep, exactly.
Like they could
So that's it for-
literally just do X-Men shit.
Yep, that's it for the show. That's it for news. Next week, a Skeleton Crew finale we're going to talk about. Dexter's preempted. We're going to talk about episode 6. Not much to talk about, though.
I can't wait to watch that now.
A new movie coming out on Friday next week on Netflix on the 17th. Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz, called Back in Action. Coming out in theaters, Wolfman. We're going to try to watch the Bob.
Thursday.
We're going to try to watch
we'll
the Bob
see Bob
Dylan
Yep.
biopic sometime this week. So yeah, not a lot right now. We're kind of at the beginning of the year, so not a lot of movies until next month, and then March and April they start picking up again. So thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.
Deuces.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you. Talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds. Rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blur. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest news and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze. Tune in to Geek Blur, we're here to entertain, bringing you the best in geekdom, it's our domain.